Nice to meet you all. And yes, so this is one example of my company's services, which is polling or feedback. And it's all completely based on the simplicity of dialing numbers or missed calls. So it's completely toll-free. And whether you have a nice fancy phone or the absolute most basic phone, I hope you pull it out right now. I don't see enough people dialing feedback for the last session. And you can rate me later. But pull out your phone and just ZipDial, and it's a toll-free missed call, and so that the conference can get the right kind of feedback throughout the events today and tomorrow, and improve things for the next one. So I'll give you a second to do that. And yeah, it's great to be here with everyone. I think it's a good transition from the last session to what I'm about to talk about. Because when you think about airlines, which are massively large and technical companies, and relatively high-end consumers who are sitting in the Amsterdam airport, checking in with Foursquare, that's one type of world for social media. And another type of world, which we happen to be in right now in India, is a very different kind of scenario where you have 700 million people with mobile phones, but most of them are using a 500 rupees phone, which doesn't have GPRS, which doesn't can't support apps, which is just a basic feature phone. But it has a keypad, and that means they can zip dial and engage on the mobile. So that is that's. Can you switch to the next other presentation? So what I'll get into is some of the interesting things, not only that we're working on, but that are going on in this market that are truly about social and mobile for a billion, and it's really all billion consumers is the goal, and that's a little anyway. And I can fix that later. My Twitter handle is a little distorted, but. So this is also a ZipDial number for my visiting card. So if you want to save some trees and not take a visiting card from me, but you want to be in touch, just ZipDial that number. It'll ring once, disconnect, and you'll get an SMS back with my details. So apparently left is right. Oh, I had it upside down. Okay. So this is the the consumers we're talking about. Consumers and even small merchants maybe. And that's one of the amazing things about India is that there's such a huge range. You have all of the most high tech and most connected and most intelligent and educated people, and then you also have people who have been underprivileged and maybe only have access to certain things, maybe a mobile phone, maybe a shared mobile phone in the house, etc. But they're still consuming, and they're still consuming products and services from all of your companies in the room, most likely. So how do we connect with all of them? Here's a great example of internet on your mobile phone for 5 rupees a day from Aircel, and really highlighting the sachet economy. And you can get a sachet of shampoo for 1 rupee. You can get internet and Facebook and whatnot on your mobile for 5 rupees a day. And it's some pretty powerful stuff, not only in terms of technology, but business models that are breaking that down. And that's the reality for the billion consumers in India. To give a little bit of data behind what we're talking about, notice that very few phones, 6% of the most used handsets in India are actually internet enabled. So when you talk about things like Foursquare and Facebook and whatnot, you're talking about a very, very small set of consumers. Even something like SMS, half of Indians don't use SMS at all, and only a quarter of them use SMS more than once a week. So there's some interesting realities there. When we're talking about the mobile, we're to talk about the realities of working in this ecosystem. And there are some pretty interesting things about the mobile, and the whole mobile ecosystem in India specifically. A lot of the benefits of that are the immense reach. When you talk about 700 million connections, that's incredible. The population of people with mobile phones in this country is growing. Every month, more people are added to the network than there are people in most countries in the world. So every month we're adding a Uganda, we're adding a Trinidad and Tobago to the mobile network in India. And that's really significant. Also, it's a very, very low-cost device. For 300 rupees, I can get a second-hand phone and be connected, and for 1 rupee, I can, or 5 rupees, I can access, some really interesting services. Another benefit is operators. They have this immense reach. They also have an incredibly high brand trust. I've done a lot of work in mobile payments, especially for the mass market and financial inclusion, and it's really interesting to see how the mass market actually has higher trust in telecom operators than they do in the brands of banks. So if you're talking about where are you going to store your money and how are you going to transact your money, there's actually more trust because they're more familiar with Airtel and Tata than they are with most ICICI or HDFC, for example. Of course, other benefits are personalized and targeted communication. Even if I don't have a robust filled out Facebook profile, as soon as I have some engagement on the mobile and some behavioral indicators, you start to learn a lot about the customer and can better target information to them. And also transparency. The fact that everything is 100% real time. When you're getting feedback on the sessions, all that feedback is available, on the web right now on ZipDial.com. Not publicly, but if you log in as the conference organizer, and that kind of real-time information is unheard of when you're trying to get inputs from, a village out of the last mile, when normally you would have to send a team of people writing out paper forms, collecting survey information. Now with the mobile, they can simply, actually provide feedback and answers to surveys and really relevant information back centrally in real time. And that's really powerful. And then, some of the benefits are actually also limitations when you talk about cost. Sending an SMS, even though rates keep coming down, something like sending an SMS or making a call is still very expensive, and even at 5 rupees a day or 1 rupee a day or 1 rupee per transaction or call, it's still meaningful when you consider how low our ARPU are and the fact that a very significant percentage of phones don't have any sort of credit on them, on the prepaid zone. Operators can also, provide some limitations, especially when you're trying to build business models around the mobile communication, and when they're used to taking a very significant percentage of the revenue for any kind of VAS where they're creating a distribution channel. The user experience, of course, is especially if it's on a smaller feature phone, you have a tiny screen and you have to deal with those realities. It doesn't need to be viewed as a complete blocker, but it is important to keep in mind. When you're, for example, sending back an SMS to somebody's bank balance, most people don't actually know to scroll down to see the rest of the message. So you've got to put the bank balance on top, and then put the thank you for your inquiry at the bottom, so that they get the relevant information. Different things like that have to be taken into account when addressing the full 100% of consumers. The important thing, which I think I've implied several times already, is that the handset is not a limitation. I don't have to have a smartphone. I don't have to have enabled services. I can use the most basic phone and still get access to a lot. And another key point is that it's not just about digital only. Thinking even about e-commerce in India, cash on delivery is 40% or more of transactions on average, where someone's physically going and delivering the thing and picking up cash. And that's just one example, and many examples of how in a market like this, having an offline and online component have to be work together. It can't just be online only, mobile only. So this is another great example of an saturated economy. PhoneTwish is a relatively new company where it's kind of interesting to try it. I actually logged in this morning and tried it for the first time, but just using Facebook over USSD, and you can update your status for free, but you can use all sorts of other services for unlimited for $1 a day, and it's pretty compelling, and it's pretty amazing to see how accessible that will be for so many people. The challenge here, of course, when we're talking about the operators as both a benefit and a limitation, is that USSD is an operator-led or operator-enabled communication channel. So while they're tied up with Airtel and Tata and others to give that reach here in India, certainly that impacts their business model, but it also requires that type of integration. Another approach is, using an example of my old company, MCheck, is operator-independent approaches, where having multiple channels where the same platform can be used on even the highest end phone as well as the lowest end phone to transact in lakhs versus in tiny amounts, things like that. The key is using the same platform and the same technology to enable everyone, and that's where real scalability comes in the business models. So, we'll use ZipDial, my current company, to talk more about that. So if you haven't yet dialed for feedback or got my visiting card, please go ahead and dial, and we can be in touch, and you can experience it. But the key is that, I'll jump to the next slide just to give an example. We're talking about customers, not only the broad range of consumers, and 100% of consumers being able to ZipDial, whether you have a smartphone or not, but also a broad range of customers. So you're looking at a television ad in the top left from Pepsi and KFC during World Cup, all the way to an NGO doing the Bangalore Midnight Marathon, who's advertising the ZipDial numbers. Very, very different kinds of companies, very, very different kinds of marketing abilities, but there's still, that's part of the simplicity as well, is having that call to action in the advertising. And then, of course, in big red over there, this important thing to note is every single one of our customers, whether it's Procter & Gamble or Cadbury or Kingfisher, all the way down to local Snap Fitness gym or tiny financial advisory firm, gets a minimum of double, if not up to 20 times more responses on a ZipDial number. Why? Because it's toll-free and because it's simple. Anybody can ZipDial a number, regardless of, there's absolutely no requirements, and it doesn't cost you anything. And that engagement, we're going to do some more examples, but that engagement can continue. And what we're talking about here is not, all the messages that have been coming out all morning are about not just getting a like on a Facebook page, but really communicating with a person and really building that engagement over time. And so, having this very, very simple and toll-free way to do that is important. So again, a snapshot of some of the customers we work with. And just to drive home the point a bit more about the sheer possibilities for response rates, the Times of India used ZipDial to pledge support for the low-fall bill during the Anazari fast and that movement. And they had a call to action on Facebook, Twitter, their 588 short code, which everybody is familiar with, and a ZipDial number. Across, you can see here on Facebook and Twitter, they had about less than 40,000 responses. Adding in the responses on the 588 short code, that was less than a lakh or less than 100,000 responses. On ZipDial, they got 7.6 million or 76 lakh responses. So you're looking at total combined Facebook, Twitter, and short code of one lakh, 76 times that on ZipDial. That just goes to show the absolute power of this simplicity of the platform and how that can really, really drive a lot of engagement and a lot of activity. And this went completely viral, of course. I'm sure at least half the people in the room who got an SMS or gave a missed call to support the Hazarian book call. No one? Okay, yeah, I know at least some people did it and tried it. So another example, taking that a bit further, is what intelligence can you gain? So there's so many, there's engagement that happens on Facebook and Twitter and whatnot, and so much of the importance of that is actually getting intelligence out of that. Like what are consumers actually saying about you? How are they engaging? What's working? What's not working? So all of that as well is possible by using something like ZipDial as a call to action across your media. So Forever Mark Diamonds is one customer of ours who includes ZipDial numbers in all of their print ads, and they have some outdoor boardings as well. And they include a different number in each of those ads. So the magazine goes pan-India, and they want to be able to track which are performing better. So 60 numbers across 60 different magazines, and they can actually tell where are they getting the right kind of eyeballs. That's another example of that kind of real-time knowledge that can come out of a campaign, which otherwise is impossible out of blasting mass market television or print ads or whatnot. You have to have some kind of call to action and starting point for engagement. Whether or not you like the show, it's still a pretty compelling way to tie the offline to the online. I'm sitting in front of the television, I'm not connected at all. I see flashing on the screen, play the Super Stud Challenge as ZipDial, completely toll-free, only missed calls, and then I can even post my results or how well I played in the game to Facebook. And now all of a sudden everybody else is seeing that and playing as well. So really multiplying the impact. And again, the key thing to note, we're talking about airlines before, we're talking about, or smaller, more niche companies like, nasal medication and every company, whether you're a tiny business selling bean bags or, a water tanker delivery or a local gym or financial services or a college fest, it's simple to pick up a ZipDial number for 1,000 reviews a month as a basic package, and go live in 2 minutes by signing up online. So that's just as simple as it is to set up a Twitter account or set up a Facebook account and start engaging that way with consumers. That's what we're striving for at ZipDial as well, is the absolute ease of getting started on a mobile for even the smallest of businesses. So that's pretty much the end of some of the ideas in the ZipDial and India context. But the one other thing that has struck me a lot in the past couple of days, and especially I don't know if I'm sure a number of people in the room are familiar with Senior Prahalad and the fortune at the bottom of the pyramid and all those theories. And so one of his very close colleagues, Stuart Hart, happens to be in Bangalore right now. I had the pleasure of having dinner with him last night, and there's so many important causes and important it could be something like anti-corruption and a mass movement around that. It could be truly educating people about the things that Akshaya Patra is doing and what that's a lot of why we're here today is tying in support for these types of organizations. And what's really struck me is that especially talking to Stuart, is he is an academic. He has an immense understanding of the global economy and other really critical movements in the world, and really is clueless about marketing. Like has no idea. And the whole time I'm listening, they're talking like, man, you need a cooler logo, you need a big PR thing, you need to like involve social media, because there's so many important things that are coming out of this institution that he's launching in Bangalore, which is why he's here. And he and a lot of his colleagues have no clue about how to make that mass movement and how to get more people involved. Everybody in this room is experts at that, and that is so a bit unrelated to what I was talking about, but I would really like to encourage you all to, whether it's for an NGO that you care about or for a social movement that you care about, something, but spending some of your time using your knowledge for important causes and leveraging that, because there are so many people who have all the right ideas and are doing the right things in the world and thinking about the future, but don't have the expertise to make it as successful as we all in the room can help them do. So, final parting thought, and please feel free to ask any questions.
I'm from an organization called Deprived. We do a lot of stuff from check processing and very complex stuff.
Firstly, thanks for the fantastic presentation. I'm from an organization called Aditya Birla Minix. We do a lot of complex stuff from processing loans to passing checks. But what we are sort of more known for is the contact center stuff. It was interesting to know that phones are still very relevant in the social media space. My question is, as you know, most of the clients you deal with have toll-free numbers, branded or that they have been publishing for a long time. Is what you're saying where ZipDial a very, very temporary standalone number, or there are solutions that integrate what you propose or what you offer with clients who already have their toll-free numbers and need this as an add-on or as a response mechanism?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the beauty about the ZipDial number is that it's like clicking on a link. When you click on a link, many things could happen. You could get more information, you could log an opinion, you could start playing a game, many things can happen. Similarly, ZipDialing a number invokes something, right? And in this case it's feedback, in the other case it's getting my business card, what have you. So in that way, they definitely can be incorporated into, that's really the idea. It's not get a ZipDial number and then you have to go figure out what to do with it. It should incorporate into the goals of your business. And I think the last presentation, especially focusing on having a clear goal, having an idea of what you're trying to achieve, and then incorporating social media into that, rather than doing just doing something for the sake of it. So absolutely can be incorporated.
Yeah, if I can qualify that question.
1-800 my company. Can I do something for my company so that the actual number has a relation to the one that exists? Can you select them?
Yeah. So we have thousands of numbers on the platform that businesses select from. Some of those are actually mapped to words and alphabets that are specifically relevant. And there are many of our customers. We have 95% of customers renew month on month their subscriptions, 10% are on an annual subscription. So that has become part of their brand identity. They have their Facebook page, and they have their website, and they have their ZipDial number.
Can I call that number from Skype?
You can.
Hi,
You can also call that number from your US phone, and it will still be toll-free. You won't get an SMS back, but if you pick out +9122. Yeah. So anybody who's traveling from abroad, you can still give your valuable feedback.
So, hi Valerie. Yeah, I'm working for IBM as a social media metrics lead. So, as mentioned that the US people, when they call or just missed call, they will not receive an SMS as a reply. So, are there any plans of implementation, because so that I could include this in my metric reports for US clients?
So I think there are questions about international.
Yes.
So we are today live in the Caribbean, and we'll be live in Bangladesh fairly soon. And the We also have done some proof of concepts in the US. The trick is just having the local SMS gateway. And so that's an easy problem to solve. It's just a question of business priorities.
Even then, I think you will be able to track how many leads have been completed.
Absolutely. So even if it's, say voting on Indian Idol from a landline, you can do that and it'll capture, the opinion, but it won't, you won't get SMS back.
Thank you.
I am Sridhar from Akshaya Patra. It takes 2 rupees a day to keep a child in school in the Akshaya Patra scheme. So how can we use the plan to seek contributions from people who want to support Akshaya Patra? And what are the next few steps we need to take to go ahead?
I think one key thing is how do you get people who are interested to actually respond and reach out to you, and even if it's something word of mouth or you've got some print brochures or something like that, like how do they actually respond? If they're in an event like this and they get handed a brochure about Patra and it says go to this website, I might remember, I might not remember by the time I get home. I may or may not want to go to a mobile browser. I may not have a mobile browser on my phone. But if it says show interest in donating, ZipDial's number, then you've got the mobile number of the person who's interested, and you can contact them back. And plus, it's the absolute simplest thing they can do, and simplest way for them to take action immediately when they're in the context and when they're motivated. So that's one simple thing. And then even we can talk offline and brainstorm around different social movements and how to, how to, for example, the Times of India Lokpal Bill campaign just spread like mad. Another thing that's spread like mad is getting cricket scores on ZipDial, which is, we've done zero marketing on that, and we now have 10 million people dialing for cricket scores every day. So how do we get the right triggers to make it spread really virally as well?
So this integrated with mobile payments as well?
At the moment, no. Ask me again in next year, and I'll probably have a more interesting answer.
I have a suggestion for Akshaya Patra. See, part of those who receive dividends less than 100 rupees, sometimes 10 rupees, 8 rupees, sometimes 99 rupees. Maybe by check, maybe it goes directly to the bank. Akshaya Patra can start a campaign that anybody who receives less than that, it can directly be transferred to Akshaya Patra. They can take My name is Venkatesh Kama. Thank you.